All right, let's talk about the telescope. A couple of things here. We've got the mount that moves the telescope. This is one of the telescopes you have. This is a 14-inch reflector. And then mounted up on top here is a 4-inch refractor. Think of this as more of a, not just more powerful, but the magnification is greater natively on that scope. And so great for looking at planets. This will work good on planets too, but this might be a little bit better on wide objects. So if you try to look at the Andromeda Galaxy, for example, which is like 2.5 times the size of the moon up in the sky, this will be the scope you want to look at that through. This will see it, but just a portion of it. All the electronics are wired on the scopes. We do, if you're going to use them, need to power them on first. So there's a couple of power switches for turning everything on. First is the mount. So I'm going to turn the mount on. We will see little lights down here flashing, and they will make sounds. When I flip it on, see how they flash back and forth. When they get solid, and you heard that dink, dink, that means the mount's ready to go. We're going to control most of it through software. So we can control it out here with a hand controller. Before we do anything with the mount, it has to be homed. Things like to be homed. The dome wants to be homed, the scope wants to be homed, the mount needs to be homed. Basically that means it lets whatever piece of equipment you're using know where it's at. So for this, to home it, I press down on this button twice. And this is its homing routine. It's going to spin in the direction that we're seeing on 2 axes. It's going to tilt this way, and then the tube's going to come this way. And when it gets close, it will fine-tune itself. And when it's done, you will hear chimes. So we'll listen for the chimes. So, ding, 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 ding. When you hear both of those, it means it's homed. Before that, it won't be usable. So once it's homed, if I need to do anything manually with the scope, let's just say we're out here and we wanted to point it at the moon, you can do that manually. It's easier to do it with software, but if you want some fun, you can do it through the control. This is a joystick. So push it one way, it goes like this. The other way, we go back, and then and like that, so back and forth. This dial right here changes speed. So we're going pretty fast, we can go slower. It is moving, you can barely tell it. And there's 2 more rates. Won't mess with those because you won't see it move. But if you're looking through an eyepiece, yes, you see it move. That's another thing that you can do with the scope. This is probably a good reason for hand control. Let's say you're looking at the moon. You're looking at just a portion of the moon. You want to go to different areas of the moon. You can use the joystick. I'd probably set it all the way down on number 1. And then you can do that to roam around the surface of the moon looking through the eyepiece. So let's move our mount back to the home position. Just to get it upright. There we go. Close enough. So the other thing that we haven't turned on, you might want to turn on at the beginning, right after the mount, is the telescope. Everything is plugged into this power strip right here. So if we go on, see our little green lights. You don't hear anything with the telescope, like the mount. You heard nice little chimes. We don't have any chimes. But things are functional. What does that mean? Well, we've got a focuser back here that lets us move the eyepiece in and out. That power has nothing to do with the scope up here. This scope is really somewhat manual. I can focus in and out with these knobs, but this is motorized. There's a control box over here that senses temperature. The scope's built in with fans, so if the mirror needs to be cooled off, the fans will automatically kick on. This is a dew heater. If you're in a possibility where moisture will form on the mirrors, heaters will kick in to keep that from happening. So it's all automatic. You don't need to worry about anything. This is all the computer connections right here. All the USBs plug into this box, and this goes down to the computer below us. And this is what allows you to control the scope remotely. This over here is the focuser. You can see in and out. They make two kinds of focusers, so clockwise and counterclockwise doesn't matter here. But if I wanted to go in, it's hard to see, but you can see right there, this is moving in. You'll notice it in the eyepiece. And so as different people look through the telescope, they can change the focus for them. So before using the scope, we've got covers to take off. Right now, everything is totally covered. And although this keeps dust and dirt off our lenses and mirrors, it doesn't help too much for viewing. The first thing we always want to do, if we're going to use this scope, we want to take this cover off first. It unscrews, and it's heavy aluminum. And the reason for that is if we've taken this one off and we drop it, there's a chance that that goes in and it'll hit the big glass mirror sitting back here at the back of the scope. So the first thing we can do is unscrew. And it takes a little bit of time. And then once we're unscrewed, we can slide the cover, the dew shield, as they call it, up. Also blocks stray light. Hopefully we'll get this in. I saw a couple of sprinkles of rain. So on the big scope, there are 3 little covers. There's a secondary mirror cover, a cover over where light enters in to bounces from here back to your eyepiece, and this is the cover for the primary mirror. So just take this off, just a little piece of plastic. This here, you can see the little clips. This we need to give a slight twist. It's a tight space, and I've played with it a few times. It's a little bit tricky to get off, but you need to sort of slide it in like that, drop it down, and then we should be able to slide out. So drop it down, sort of sticks in here a little bit, slide it out. Back there you can see the big primary mirror. And then if we undo these and just move this off, there we go. There's our secondary mirror all ready to go. So at this point in time, we're pretty much ready to stargaze. If we're going to use the finder for some reason, there's caps on both ends of the finder. But the scope, stick an eyepiece in here, put an eyepiece in here, we're ready to stargaze. So at the end of the night, the question will be, do you want to put everything back on the scope? Maybe, maybe not. Right? If you're going to stargaze again the following night or in a couple of nights, there's going to be a bag that you can cover the entire telescope, the mount, everything. Maybe simpler than trying to take this stuff on and off all the time. If you do need to put it back on, here's what we need to do. So again, I'm going to sort of lay this flat. And twist it in like this. It's got to go sort of in at an angle and then into the primary and sort of miss the secondary just by a little bit. And then we tilt it up, put it back so it's laying there, and then we could just turn and hook it into these nuts here on the side. Sort of missed that one there. There we go. Then, little bags. There's the bag that covered. And here's the cloth bag that covers up here. Just put it all the way around. And then finally, if we're going to put the cover here, we need to slide that back. Let me grab. So there's the threads. Put that up here. And we'll close away. That's good enough. That's on solid. And I think we're in the nick of time. It is starting to rain. So for powering down, off, scope's off. Also remember the mount. So over through here, you get the little switch right there. No lights, it's powered off as well. We don't do anything with the dome control. We leave that on so we can get in and out. And that's it.